up, everybody? This is Brendan Mundorf for the Denver Outlaws. And first thing we want to talk about when stringing a stick is the mesh preparation. Okay, you don't want to get the mesh out of the packet and just dive right into stringing the stick. You want to prepare the mesh a little bit and stretch it out. I like to start by getting the mesh wet, leaving it in a sink full of hot water maybe for like 10-15 minutes. Okay, so when you get the mesh out, you want to start stretching it out as much as you can with your hands before you start stringing. Okay, I like to take the mesh to the top, stretch it out as much as possible. Okay, roll it over, stretch it again, roll it over, stretch. Okay, and keep doing this all the way down to the bottom of the mesh. Okay, so then your mesh should look a little bit like this. All right, nice and stretched out. Okay, pliable, and you're ready to go with your stringing. Okay, so we have our 9 holes across the top here. That's where we're always going to start. Okay, by folding the mesh down 2 rows. Okay, we're going to start on the right side of the head. In this case, I'm going to use the second hole in this sidewall. Okay, I'm going to take my thicker string here, which is a top lace. Alright, don't use your sidewalls. Okay, they're a little bit thinner, so you want to start with the thicker string in the stringing kit. Come in through the second hole. Okay, pull it all the way through. You want to make a knot at the end of the string before you put it through, so you can just pull it through nice and quick. There's the knot. Then we're going to come up through this first hole in the side of the mesh, like so. And we're going to take the tip of the string, put it back across the mesh, in through the same hole where we started, and then back up through the same hole in the mesh. We're doing this so the mesh will stay tight to the side of the head. Now we're going to go into the first hole in your sidewall, in the top of the stick. It's going to be the first hole in the top of the stick. We're going to start from the back, put the string through the back of the head, bring it around to the front side of the first or the second hole in the mesh, bring it through, we're going to end up here. We can get all these curls out of the string by bringing it through to the right side of where you went through the hole. Okay, get this little look here. Now we're going to come over top of the top string, back through the mesh, creating this loop right here. We want to keep this loop open, keep some slack in the string, so when you come back through the front of the head, you can bring the tip of the string down through that loop and pull it tight. Now, we're going to skip a hole in the top of the head and a hole in the mesh. So this hole here and that hole in the mesh won't be used. Now we're going to move across here, go through the back of the head, around to the front of the mesh, and pull it tight. And we're going to go back through the front of the back of the mesh, come through the front of the head. We've created this loop again. We're going to bring the string down through that loop, pulling it tight. Okay, so again we're going to skip a hole in the mesh and in the top of the head, go through the back of the plastic, around to the front of the mesh, and pull it tight. Come across, make your loop. This extra string here when we go back through the back of the mesh. Come through the front of the plastic, down through the loop, cinch it tight. Skip one more hole in the head, one more hole in the mesh. Do the back of the plastic, front of the mesh, pull it tight. We're going to create our loop. Come back through the front of the head, pull the string down through the loop, pulling it tight. Now we're going to finish off the top string the same way we started, by going through the mesh, going through the inside of the plastic now to the outside. Pull that tight, come back across the mesh, down through the same hole in the mesh and the plastic. Okay, and we're going to anchor this top of the mesh now on this side, pulling it as tight as possible, and then we're going to tie it off with a simple knot. Okay, so you want to pull the string back over itself, creating this loop, pull the string through the loop, tighten it down, and there you have your top string